The faith, grace, love connection is righteousness. Well, howdy folks. It is Tuesday, 8:15. We are halfway through the month of August, which also means that we're just about 3 to 4 weeks from this weather, this heat, checking out. Should by the middle of September, we should be back into the 90s, a 90-70 split. And then by October, we should be hitting back into the 80s and starting to see some 60s in the evenings. That's nice. I really don't mind the heat. I work in it. During the day, I'd rather be hot than cold, only because that's just me, and I know a lot of people would rather be cold than hot, but I don't want to, no, we won't get into that today. All right. So we're looking at the predominant numbers of my life. And this week we're looking at the number 14. In 1962, now we covered 62, right? Well, you know what I need to do is cover 1962, which is 18, because 18 is a significant number. I almost missed that. Remind me, because we're going to take a little hiatus from this, because we're going to go into about Rosh Hashanah, because Rosh Hashanah is only 4 weeks away. So we need to understand Rosh Hashanah. We need to understand Yom Kippur, and we need to understand tabernacling with God for all of eternity. Okay, so we're getting into the high time of the year when it comes to God's feasts and how they apply to us who are born again in Jesus Christ. Okay, there is so much to learn about that, but let's learn about the number 14. Okay, so in 1962, I'm born May 16th, 1962. I was 14 hours old. When I was 14 hours old, apparently my lung collapsed, and they found me. I was blue, and just think, in 1962, there weren't a lot of specialists. That's still the time where the general practitioner was the surgeon, he was the gynecologist, he was the kid doctor, he was the everything. And that's what my grandfather was, J. Bruce Hendrickson. So he was there at the hospital when I was born. And he had a friend there who was in New York. I was in Belleville, New Jersey, which is not too far away from New York. And he had a friend that he was meeting that was a fellow doctor, but learning and looking towards specializing in certain procedures on children. So so the process of becoming a specialist had been that's the time it started really taking place. And so in that time, here I am, lung collapse. They say that I didn't have oxygen to my brain for between 20 to 40 minutes based on their timetable. So my grandfather, he's there, his friend, the New York doctor, who had just performed a specific lung surgery on a 4-year-old, not a 14-hour-old, but a 4-year-old. And my grandfather said, do the surgery. And he said, well, these are the two possibilities. He said, these are the two possibilities. He said, this child will probably die. And if he doesn't die, he'll probably be a vegetable because of the lack of oxygen to his brain. Now, I'm very straightforward that over the years and growing up that I have what you would determine learning disabilities. Severe dyslexia. I had to learn that. They just kept pushing me through grades until about 4th grade, when I acted out, and my parents got to the school district, sued the school district, and because they're like, this boy's smart, but you're not teaching him how to learn. So I went through a bunch of specialists, psychological counseling, psychiatrists, blah, 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 and they finally figured out how to teach me to learn. How I learn. They had to figure out how I learn. There's a way to learn. There's all these special programs now throughout the whole United States on teaching children how to learn, how they learn, finding out how they learn. So that court case enforcing Abington School District into doing this actually has been beneficial to millions of children across the nation. It goes back to the court case in 1969. So that's cool, man. My life has been beneficial to people's lives for a long, long time now. But we find out that, look, I'm not a vegetable. When I get tired, all the words go back like this, and it's hard for me to read. That's why you don't see me doing scholastical things in the evening after work. It doesn't work. I can force myself through it, but it is going through mental hoops. But and what they say is, one of the cool things that one of the doctors, they put like electrodes and all kinds of stuff in my head and everything, and they said there's a part of my brain that's not on, that's on most people's brains. And then they said that there's a part of my brain that's not on in most people's brains. So evidently that God turned on a part of my brain to compensate for it. But the thing is, it takes a different route of synapses. So my brain is developing differently when it has to cut those roads for the synapses, because that's what happens. It makes roadways through your brain. It's just a little different, and a little different's okay. And if you learn a little different, that's okay. Learn the way you learn. Just learn how to do it, and so that's awesome. But I'm not a vegetable. God saved me as I was as a spirit person incarnated into this flesh body, taking on human nature. We are spirits. I said that yesterday. And then my dad, when the surgery came, that my parents said, yes, do it. Now my dad, he is an Episcopal priest, and me and Stan Hare, we were talking last week, and he said, you can look at this in Abraham's life, David's life, and stuff. And one of the things that we look at is God honors faith, even in your ignorance. His mercy will honor your faith, even in your ignorance, even in the things that you don't know, but you have faith in God. You might not know this particular thing that you think, well, this is going to disqualify you. No, God's mercy will, because we're not perfect, we're not perfected beings. We don't have all the answers, and so so when you think, hey, believe God, and you're thinking, but I don't understand this. It's okay. You don't have to understand it. In His mercy, if your faith is on God, God will honor your faith even in your ignorance by His mercy. Just keep believing God. He wants your faith in Him, and He'll work out the particulars. Because my dad, man, he, in the Episcopal Church, they got sprinkling for baptism, and they baptize babies. Well, we know in our circles that baptism is immersion. And baptism is not sprinkling. It's not for babies. It's for someone that's old enough to understand what their decision is. But that's okay. But my dad's faith was in God, so he took this holy water and he baptized me. But by his faith, he said, God, I know you're going to turn this around. I know you're the one that heals. His faith was in the healing power of God. And then he did it again on my way out of the surgery. Guess what God did? Now, my dad was ignorant in terms of holy water and baptism, but his faith was in God. And that's what I want to leave you with today as we study this stuff out and get to it. My goodness, there's a lot of things I probably could have covered more today, but I think that's the biggest point, is believe in God. God is, and He is the rewarder of those that diligently seek Him. Diligently seek God. Believe God. Know that He is. He's with you. He's for you. He just wants to live this life with you. He wants to live this life with you seeking Him for the answers. I love you. God bless you. And I'll see you next time.